Okay, good morning. Welcome to week 5. We are halfway through the quarter, so we're going to be working on Module 2, Lesson 1 this week. We just finished Module 1, so we looked at those foundational documents, Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, Constitution, and then how that power structure is set up in our government, right? What power does the federal government have? What powers does the states have? And how we try to work to not have a dictatorship. Okay, what checks and balances have been put into place. So starting in this module, we're going to look at those 3 branches of government. So when they wrote the Constitution, they created 3 branches of government to create checks and balances so that no one branch would become too powerful and to avoid basically Britain 2.0. We didn't want a tyranny. We didn't want a dictatorship. So we're going to look at each of those branches over the next couple weeks. So this week, we're looking at the legislative branch. So the legislative branch is the one that has all those people from each state. There's the House of Representatives, which has 435 members, and then there's the Senate, which has 100 members. The House of Representatives is based on population. So the more population, the more representatives. The less population, the less representatives. The Senate is the same. So everyone gets 2 representatives. So these 2 bodies make up the legislative branch. So we're going to look at what does the legislative branch do? What are their powers? What are they responsible for? And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll look at the president, what the president does, what their responsibilities are, and then same with the Supreme Court, okay? And how this trifecta of checks and balances of keeping each other in line and each one staying in their lane, okay, makes up our federal government, which is over the states. So you're going to want to have Canvas open, okay? And while you're doing that, let's just review a couple of things, okay? So making sure that you're following the pacing guide, okay? So last week on Friday, right, Module 1, Lesson 4 notebook was due. We did that entirely together in class, and then you were supposed to take Module 1 assessment. So remember, that was over the entire module, okay? So it was over those first 4 lessons. So it was a little bit longer than the other quizzes. And remember, I gave you that review sheet. It's on the lesson and recording page, which is the very first module in Canvas. Progress grades come out this week, okay? So I will be working on them tomorrow. So I'm giving you heads up. I'm going to finish grading today, and then I'm going to post them tomorrow because I've got some time tomorrow. So your teacher should be getting progress grades posted anywhere between Wednesday and Friday this week. So if you are behind, if you have not turned things in, get them in today so I can grade them, because then tomorrow mid-morning I'm going to be posting progress grades, okay? Because we are halfway through the quarter, all right? Remember, if you don't turn in an assignment, it goes in as 0. It goes in as the true grade, meaning you didn't do it, okay? You can replace that 0 as long as the assignment is open, right? So remember, there's the due date, and then you have the 1 week late window from the NVLA, and then I give 1 extra week, right? That buffer of extra time, okay? So if you have the accommodation of double time, that is meeting that accommodation. So you got to make sure you get your work in. Otherwise, it will stay as 0, because once that closes, I am not reopening it because I already extended the time. Okay. Heads up, the senior sunrise is this Friday. So if you were planning on going but haven't RSVP'd yet, look in the announcements. All right. I have that in there. Remember, you have to RSVP. It is early in the morning, but it is a really neat senior ritual. So I would encourage you, if you're on the fence, if you're like, oh, I don't know, and stuff like that, being online, there's a lot of things that you won't do your senior year that you might in a brick and mortar. So try to participate in some of these milestones if you can. Great. Okay. Peyton's going. So who else is going? Anybody else going? Or if you were afraid of going and not knowing somebody, then connect with Peyton so you're not alone. Okay, go. I think it's a great opportunity. Have a good time. These are great moments that you remember. I am not sure. I think you have to pay ahead. I'm not sure. What is the cost? Let me look. Let me look at the cost and see, because they just sent me the info and then I posted it. Did I go buy it? Senior Sunrise. There it is. $10. RSVP. You may purchase tickets at the door. Yeah, so it looks like you can pay at the door. Okay. And you click on the link. Tells you the info. And it looks like you can pay at the door. Okay. So if you're on the fence, you got a few days you can think about it. Just make sure you RSVP the night before. Okay. All right. Let me go back over. Any other questions? Okay. There's no school this coming Monday. Like I said, it's teacher in-service day. It's teacher staff development day. So I get to be in meetings. So think when you see me next Tuesday, I'm going to be so new and improved. You'll be so impressed. You'll be like, shh, thank goodness they gave her a tune-up. All right. Her teaching was pretty rough. All right. So thank goodness she got that extra training. All right. And stuff. All right. And then a quick reminder of plagiarism. Okay. Plagiarism of any kind is not accepted. That includes using any AI tools and stuff. Responses need to be, if we go over them in class, you can use the responses I give you. Otherwise, they need to be in your own words. Okay. You will not be given credit for work that is not in your own words or that is copy and pasted. Okay. So it will not be accepted. You'll have a chance to resubmit it, but it will not be accepted for credit. All right. For that section or that portion. Okay. Today is National Cheese Pizza Day. How do you like your pizza? What kind of pizza do we like? What kind of pizza are we? I feel like it says a lot about you. I don't know. Like, are you an everything? Are you just a cheese, just a pepperoni? Are you all meat? Are you veggies? Are you pineapple, Hawaiian? Okay, Julian, you're a double meat, pepperoni, sausage. My husband's all meat. He likes my girls are cheese and I like all the veggies. So we're all like, so either I just suck it up and eat pineapple. Okay. I can't get on board with it. I like pineapple. It's so weird to me. Like fruit on a pizza. It's just, I don't know. Do you like the Canadian bacon on there too, Camilla? Like, I don't want to answer. She's being mean. How else does everybody like their pizza? Come on. Okay, we got a couple. Sarah, Camilla. Pepperoni. All right. Straightforward classic, Danica. My favorite is mushrooms and olives. I'll eat it with pepperoni and stuff like that, but I love like mushrooms and olives and peppers. Like, love it. Black olives on it. Hawaii. We got quite a few Hawaiians in here. All right. Hawaiian pizza in here. I just can't. I don't know. It's like too sweet. Is that what you love about it? Is like the salty sweet? Is that what makes you love the Hawaiian? Like the salty sweet? Anybody else? How do you like your pizza? No, I want pizza. Maybe I'll get pizza tonight. Anybody else? Peyton?
Supreme.
Supreme, yum. Okay, I like Supreme. Yeah, a little bit of meat and you got the veggies and stuff like that. That's always a good one. Yeah, I agree. Everything just goes together. All right, so it's got to be that salty sweet because the cheese and the cheese and then the ham is a little bit, more salty and then the sweet. I said, yeah, I love a good Supreme, like the crunchy veggies on there, a little bit of sausage. I don't mind a little bit of meat on there. It's just when it's like all meat. Like my husband's like, I like double meat in this. And I'm like, oh, it's just too. So we usually get 2 pizzas. I'll just eat cheese or whatever. But once in a while, I'm like, I'm getting my own pizza. So awesome. All right. Well, I encourage you to get pizza this week, right? So if you need inspiration, say it's my teacher's fault. She said I have to get pizza this week. All right. Okay. We're going to jump in. Let's get our notebook going. And then we will talk about what the legislative process is. What does the legislative branch do? So that's the whole goal of this week is understanding the legislative branch, how it works and what they do. So we're going to scroll down to, now what I would do is when I'm done with a module, I would close it. You can close it by doing that arrow. And that's nice because it just helps when you're scrolling, right, to get to your page faster where you want to be. So we're module 1, lesson 2, and you can see 2 things that are due this week, the notebook and the quiz. Okay, so we're going to go to the overview page. All right, and it says we're going to analyze basically state and federal, the lawmaking process, which is what the legislative branch does. Okay, so how is the legislative branch structured? How do they create law? So what is that process? And we're going to watch a good old classic of how a bill becomes a law. So how does the lawmaking process affect your life? So that's the whole goal or thing that we're going to be answering today. And then when we meet again. Okay, so into next, let's go ahead and open our notebook. Okay, make a copy, open it up. Once it's open, you can rename it if you want. So same things we always do. Okay, move it, put it in your government folder. Okay, so if you haven't created one, create a government folder. We've been over this a bunch now. And then make it shareable. Okay, so go to share and click on anyone with the link. To make it shareable, anyone with the link. Okay, give me a thumbs up once you have your notebook open, ready to go. Saved it, made it shareable. Awesome. Okay, we'll go back over into Canvas. Okay, we're going to click on next and we'll get started. So the supporting question is, how does the lawmaking process affect your life? Because think, every law that's passed, that's another thing we have to be aware of, or that we have to make sure we're not breaking, right? Because we don't want to get in trouble with the law or have fines or, you know, really bad, like have, you know, jail time or something like that. So how does the lawmaking process affect our lives? And the reality is the people that we elect to go into the legislative branch are the ones who are going to vote on what becomes law. So it is a big part of our life because we live under those laws. Okay, so let's copy and paste. I'll put this in the chat and we're going to put this in number 1 in the notebook under our essential supporting question. How does the lawmaking process affect your life? Okay, once we have that, we're going to go back over into Canvas and let's look at the key vocab for this lesson. Okay, so there'll be 5 as always. Okay, enumerated, substantive, term, filibuster, and bicameral. All right. So just like we've done before, we're going to do the context clue, okay, which is their use of it in a sentence, and then we do it in our own words, okay? So enumerated. Congress has 2 general categories, the powers that are enumerated and implied. So enumerated means like clearly written out, okay, like clear as day on, you know, there in black and white in print what you can or cannot do. Okay, so powers written out in the Constitution. So this is the first one. Okay, so we're doing here on our chart. So you can copy and paste it from Canvas, or you can welcome to pull it from the chat. All right, let's look at the next one. The substantive difference in the lawmaking process between the House and the Senate is that all House bills go to the House Ruling Committee before the House debates on the bills. So substantive, it means major. Whoops, I don't want to move that. I want to copy this. Okay, so let's get this whole thing, Control C. We're doing the second word now, all right? And to put this in our own words, substantive means a major difference. So something really big, a big difference, a major difference. Okay, third. It has been argued that the 2-year term limit for members of the House hurts their ability to govern effectively. So term means how long your time as an elected official lasts. So in the House of Representatives, it's every 2 years. In the Senate, it's 6 years. For the presidency, it's 4 years. So terms are just how long does that office, when you're elected, how long does that election last for? That when you've been selected, how long does it last before you either have to run for re-election or it expires and you're out of office? And the reality is it's different for each branch. So House of Representatives, which has more members, it's kind of considered the junior league, okay? The entry league is 2. Senate, which is considered more prestigious, it's more selective because it's only 2 per state. That's 6 years, so it's longer. Presidency is in the middle. It's 4 years, 2-term max. Okay, so length of time that you are in office before you have to be reelected. All right, let's do the next one. Many of you have asked for me for further details on the talking filibuster or how it works. We'll talk about filibusters a little bit more in our next class and stuff. So filibusters are a tactic in the House and the Senate used to try to burn time or to dissuade or to get attention when you're trying to advocate for something or against something. Okay, so it's a tactic used on the House floor or the Senate floor by members of the House or the Senate. So we'll talk more specifically about that. So it's talk a bill to death. So basically when there's a bill that people are going to vote on to possibly become law and people don't want that to happen, this is a process of delaying that or interfering with that. Okay, and last but not least, Congress is bicameral and that it's broken up into the House and the Senate. So in the Articles of Confederation, there was unicameral. There was only one. There was one Senate, one representative from every state. When they rewrote it, remember, we were that how do you define equality? And that the reality is it is that there's a couple ways you could do it. Based on population or everyone, one size fits all. And so they did both to try to create as much equality as possible so that the larger states had more representation, which makes sense, but also that there was equal representation for the smaller states and they didn't get railroaded. So you have the House and the Senate. So you have two separate bodies within the legislative process. Okay, give me let me put over that last bit. So two houses, two sections, two parts. Give me a thumbs up once you have the vocab done, because then we're going to move on to number 3, how a bill becomes a law. All right, so if I go back over, okay, into Canvas, we're going to click Next. The legislative branch. Okay, so the legislative branch of government is made up of the House and the Senate. So two different parts. The framers envisioned that the House of the legislative branch would be the closest and most responsive of the American people because it's directly elected by the people, right, from each state. At the Constitutional Convention, the framers of the Constitution started or settled on the compromise for the legislative branch so that the convention from the states with larger populations wished for legislation number of representatives chosen by state population. Others were from states with sparse population and wanted representation to be fixed or equal. Ultimately, they settled on a compromise, okay, which today is House and the Senate. Goal was to try to create inequality within that. Okay, so before we do the checking for understanding, all right, let's the question, and then we will watch our video on how a bill becomes a law. What are the specific powers of the legislative branch in regarding to making law, taxing and spending, and oversight of the government? Okay, that's the people that are being governed in the United States. The executive budget, revenue bill go through the House of Representatives, and the power of the president. So there's some basic things that the legislative branch does. They approve the budget. So the president makes the budget, the legislative branch has to. So this is part 1 of number 3. They also vote on all bills, okay, which means laws. So in order for a bill, something that is proposed to become a law, the president can't just sign it into law. Okay, that would be like it is. Now, there are some executive orders the president can do, but for the most part, the president cannot make laws, okay? Everything has to go through these 2 representative bodies. They have to debate it, they have to argue over it before it can move on. All right, let's watch a quick video on how a bill becomes a law. This is great. This is old school. I watched this even when I was in high school. So yes, it's old.
You sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will, but today I am still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks like I'm gonna live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait in a line with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law. I hope and pray that he will. But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By
old.
that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's kind of fun. It's stuff. So Schoolhouse, they do it, Schoolhouse Rocks and stuff. Even when I was in high school, the teachers would show this and stuff. So, hey, sometimes if it works, it works. Okay. And the process is the same. Okay. So it starts in the House and it goes through committee and then they vote on it. And if it dies, then it dies. It doesn't go any further. If it passes, then it goes to the Senate and it gets through committee and then gets voted on. Then it has to go to the president, where the president can veto it or sign it. And if it's vetoed, it gets sent back and the process starts over again. So of the thousands and thousands of bills that go through our government every year, only about 10% actually make it through. Okay, so most fail. And there's some crazy ones out there. So next time we meet, I'll give you some examples of some crazy ones that have been introduced. Anything you can think of has probably been introduced. Okay, even like we can only have Hawaiian pizza or something, like ridiculous bills. So there's lots of bills. Some are serious, some aren't, some are ridiculous, some are great, but some are controversial, some are bipartisan. But the reality is that almost anything can be proposed, but most don't make it through. And the reason we have such a strict process is because we want to make sure when we're passing things, right, that it's actually the will of the people, not the will of a dictator, right? And so that's why it goes through the legislative branch. We want the people that have been voted on by us, that represent the actual people that are from our populations. They're voting on behalf of their state, of their area, and making sure that these laws are going to be good for us and improve our lives, not restrict and hurt our lives. Okay, so we're going to go back over into legislative branch. Okay, it was established, and again, members are elected to represent the interests of the people. It's bicameral, so there's two parts: House of Representatives and Senate. Okay, it's divided to help with the checks and balances. The Senate checks and balances the House, and vice versa, so they keep track of each other. And boy, do they love to point fingers at each other. They take that a little bit too seriously. And the legislative is further limited in power in the executive judicial branch. Also, checks and balances of Congress are listed under Article 1, Section 8. Okay, before we do the checking for understanding, let's do the second part of number 3. And that is, how does the legislative branch serve as a check for presidential power? The Senate must approve all appointments by the president. So if the president's going to appoint a diplomat or a new position, they can't just hire someone. It has to be approved by the Senate. They have to approve the budget of the president. This way, the president doesn't just have a blank check. This is good because some presidents might not spend enough. Actually, that's never the problem. They all spend too much, all right? They drive us further and further in debt. So we need the Senate to help keep them accountable, or when needed, like, hey, we have to pull back this money. This budget isn't going to work, okay? And also Congress, meaning the Senate, can impeach the president. So if the president violates, basically getting impeached is like getting fired. Okay, getting fired from your job. So there's definitely checks and balances to limit the president. And as we go through each branch, we'll talk about how they check the other branches. So like they have to approve the president's budget. The president can't just spend whatever they want. They have to approve appointments. So if the president is going to appoint someone to the Supreme Court or in the military or any number of positions or committees, they have to be approved upon by the Senate to make sure, again, hopefully that we're getting qualified people, not just the president's buddy, you know, that they play golf with on the weekend. Hey, I owe you a favor, I'll put you here. You want people that are actually qualified as much as possible, right, for the positions, and making sure what's best for the country, not just who you owe a favor to, because unfortunately that happens a lot. Okay, so it's the second part of number 3. Let's go back over into Canvas. Let's do the checking for understanding, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So the power of Congress can be found listed in, and that's Article 1, Section 8. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Okay, let's go down here. According to the Constitution, this power, the power that is denied Congress is, so they are allowed legal rights in times of emergency or crisis. They are allowed to declare war, and they have the power of the coin, meaning to print money and the budget, to approve budgets, okay? They do not have the ability to grant titles to nobility. We have no nobility in the United States. That was one of the things the founding fathers wanted to make sure they have, is we didn't have a monarchy again, a monarchy with all the, you know, dukes and duchesses and all those different, you know, areas of privilege, okay? That people were elected to their position or appointed, but also could be removed. It wasn't for life, okay? The way that other countries have done. How does a bill become law is outlined in, and I believe that was Article 1, Section 8. No, Article 1, Section 7? Yes, Article 1, Section 7. All right. So right here, every bill, yeah, it says right here, every bill which shall have been passed in the House of Representatives and the Senate shall go before become law, presented to the President of the United States if he approves and signs it. Okay, so it gives that whole process. Impeachment is discussed in which part? All right, I better double check this first. All right, the Senate shall give immediately restriction, no person shall be a senator, the vice president. Okay, when the president, concurrent and no person, impeachment. Okay, so it's going to be in Section 3. Article 1, Section 3. Of the Constitution. Okay, so we're going to finish. All right, how are we doing? Give me a thumbs up. You have 1 through 3 done on your notebook, and you've looked at the checking for understanding. 1 through 3 done on your notebook. We did the checking for understanding. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we'll wrap up a couple minutes early then. Okay. Oh, I don't want to play you again. Go to the next page. Okay, so we looked at 1 and 2 in the notebook. We also did number 3, so we got a little bit ahead. All right, tomorrow we'll continue looking at the legislative branch. What are their responsibilities? And again, each branch, executive, legislative, judicial, all have different responsibilities. So part of what you're wanting to learn is what are those basic responsibilities, and how the founding of, you know, the Constitution was. The Constitution is above all these branches, and to keep those checks and balances, to keep any one person or party from becoming too powerful. And if they try to, then there's ways to get them out of office or put them back in their place or cut off what they're trying to do. Here's the reality. Every single president oversteps their power. Every single one, current and past, okay? They do executive orders or things that they don't have the power to do. So just because you like what they're doing doesn't mean they have the power to do it. And the reason for that is, again, we want to create consistency, that we don't have any one extreme or person taking over the country and becoming like a dictatorship. So when we meet next, we're going to continue in the notebook. Okay, so we'll continue working on the notebook. We'll talk more about the powers of the legislative branch, how it checks and balances the others. and then we will review for your quiz. Okay, I'll have your review sheet for you. All right, so you're free to go. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, stay behind. I can help you. Otherwise, I will see you later.